The Nothing Box. A suggestion from Talia last Saturday to talk about my famous Nothing Box. I don't think that I've mentioned my Nothing Box paradigm in the last probably for a year. Um, so, but it's a very important concept. So this morning, I woke up, and my mind, when I wake up, is already occupied with what I need to do that morning. You know, it's preparing my food bowls, getting my supplements ready, um, reading my training plans and all that stuff, and then taking care of my dogs. And I've got a lot of stuff in my head. And so this morning when I went into the breezeway, then I had this little shitty surprise, and now I have different thoughts in my head. And the thought that I had in my head is like, yeah, we got pants full shit, and I still need to, finish the task here and get my dogs out for a potty break, and then clean everything up and get ready, and then after I've done that, I was thinking about my six-pack walk, with my shepherds. I wanted to do this, and so I'm preparing everything, and my mind's already at the walk. How I'm going to do this, how I'm going to manage my dogs getting in and out of the trailer and leashing them up one by one and putting them on, and then I'm checking on my malice one more time, and there you go. There's diarrhea again in the in one of the kennels. So there goes the power washer, and now I have different thoughts in my head. My dogs, however, had probably zero thoughts because they were in their crates and some were running around, and they weren't as worried about the walk that was coming, and they weren't as worried about how they were getting into the trailer and how are they getting out of the trailer, and they're not as worried in how am I going to manage the leashes and how am I going to manage their water buckets, etc., etc. They were just dogs. They were in the moment, and hopefully they were in their nothing box. And having said that, my wife and I have often some arguments because I would literally sit in my chair, just sitting, and she looks at my face and she says, "Hey, what's wrong?" And I say, "Nothing." But there must. What are you doing? Nothing. But what are you thinking of? Nothing. And so for my wife, it's a very difficult concept to understand. And I think for all women, as women comes from Venus and men come from Mars, women are always busy, always thinking, and I have the luxury that my mind sometimes can switch off if I sit in my chair and I'm, basically contemplating and literally thinking about nothing. And so when my wife comes in and she asks me this question, I literally need to take my box of nothing. I need to take it outside my head and put it on the side on my table, and now I need to grab my listen to my wife box, and I put it in, and then there I go. I say, "Okay, wife, what's the matter?" And as soon as she's done rattling, and I gave her the answer, nothing, I take listening to the wife box out and I put it away. I grab my nothing box again, and there I go. Where 5 minutes later, there she is again asking me another question. So here I go. I need to take my nothing box out and put my wife box in, etc., etc. You know, and eventually she's hungry, and I do the cooking in the house, and then it's from wife box to okay, I can access the nothing box, and now it's need to cook box. So here I am. I'm at my furnace cooking, and so she's I'm busy cooking and I'm chopping the food and doing my prep and making a meal like I do every day. And so here she goes again. So I need to take my cooking box away, and now I need to take again attention to the wife box. And I think you're getting the point here. Um, we men need to switch a lot of boxes where in a women's brain often it's like this freaking mosaic. Yeah, it's like this mosaic, and every little tile has different instructions, and they figure out the puzzle by, like, it's like they're like a DJI drone flying all over the place and having this helicopter view of everything what's on the mosaic, and they can handle everything at once. So that brain is super active. Dogs, on the other hand, are more like us, where we need to have boxes, and it takes us time to put in the box. However, one of the things that we need to avoid is that our dog is in the doggy will do whatever he pleases box, or the handler doesn't pay attention to me so I can do whatever I want box. We want the dog to have a mind state that he's in the nothing box. And by the nothing box, I mean he is not worried about 5 seconds before, and he is not worried about 5 seconds after. He is engaged with you at that particular moment. Yeah. He is busy cooking, and nothing will distract him from cooking. Not the wife, not the kids, not other stuff. He is engaged with you. And so when you are engaged with training, when you are engaged in engaging your dog, you should have that nothing box. Nothing else matters. It's just that engagement with the dog that is important. And it's with this joke, of men and women. However, there is a small truth in that joke, that we find solutions in how to train the dog, and that is by managing the environment so you can be in your nothing else matters box. If you try to train 5 minutes before a phone call, if you try to train with a spouse and kids waiting for dinner, if you try to train right before your friends are coming over, or whatever it is that you need to do, that you're going to be on such a time constraint that in the training session you are getting worried that you are not getting done on time, then your mind is going to start wandering off from the nothing else matters I'm with my doggy box to, oh my god, yeah, it's getting late and I better rush this session, and then my dog needs to go in a crate, and oh shit, he needs to go to the potty, but where's the leash? And eventually your mind stirs into this chaotic mind state. Your hormones are going to change, your energy is going to change, and it's going to have that effect on your dog, where your dog eventually is going to say, well, after about 5 to 6 minutes already, I can see my handler changing and I don't like it, so I'm going to start checking out right before that moment because I don't like what's happening. And then the dog goes from nothing else matter than my handler's box to I'm going to do doggy things. And that's when the unwanted behaviors often happens, or it's the dog that now says, well, after 5 minutes I'm going to start ignoring my handler, I'm going to lay on my pillow, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. And it's because we humans have a problem by staying in our nothing box. So that's a little bit of my how you call it, my paradigm that I used to use a lot when I trained my new handlers and my new students. And Thank you, Talia, for reminding me to throw that in there, because I think it's a very important concept to understand, and also a very healthy concept to implement in our lives. Because we're always busy, we're always rushed, we're always planning. A human life, almost every person that I meet has some kind of agenda and schedule, and has some kind of like being a puppet on a string by his own calendar and by his own agenda. That when we have dogs in our lives, we need to start implementing time that we're actually doing nothing, and kind of ease the brain down, so we can be ready for the only thing that matters is our dog. So the way I do that is, I'm also a musician. For the people that don't know it, I play the trumpet, the trombone, and I play piano. And I like to compose music. I have a little small music studio in my office with synthesizers and sound modules, and I like the mathematics of creating sound, and I've got mixers and stuff. And I like to compose. I like to compose music. And for me, composing music is often a way to prepare to go and train my dogs, because it's kind of getting my brain into the nothing box, because I have my headphones on and I just play. And my wife really knows that when I'm behind my piano and I have my headphones on, that is my world, and there's no phones that are answered, there's no doors that will be opened, and if a dog barks, I will not even pay attention. Hence, I wear the headphones, because it's a good way for me to go in my nothing box and declutter, and this is important, declutter my mind before I am going to go and train my dog, especially when I have a more complex session. That decluttering of the brain is important. And whether you're sitting on the couch doing nothing, or sitting on the couch reading, or whatever you need to use to declutter that brain before you go into a very frustrating session sometimes, because when we deal with unwanted behavior or aggression cases like this, where my patient is going to be tested, decluttering of the brain is really important. So my nothing box is a very sacred box, that when I'm in there, that is now very respected in my family. So think about it, think about your lives, think about how it's managed by things that you actually have control over. However, we use excuses that we don't have control over it. Write these down, make an inventory on these things, and then see how we can manage it and implement those declutter sessions before we actually start training, and also implement one after training, so we can sit down and assess what we have done, and then in the next declutter session we can use that information to prepare and ease our way into the next session. So the nothing box, this is what it is. Think about it. Leave me any comments or questions below. I think it's a very important concept. Again, thank you, Talia, for reminding me on this important concept. So if you guys have any questions about this, feel free to put it in the comments right now. The homework, by the way, will be reviewed today. Like I said, I've been walking. I haven't seen any videos today. So tomorrow in the Bark Talks with Bart. This is the new topic, by the way, if you guys have chosen. So it's Bark Talks with Bart. The Daily 5 is out of the window. So in tomorrow's Bark Talks with Bart, review of all the homework.
So while we're kind of waiting, when when we're about to do like some heavy duty suit work with the big dogs, like with Logan and Riker.
Yeah, or
Um,
the Malleys and
yeah, I mean all the really hard chargers. When I first come in here to get suited up, there's that little bit of time frame where I'm just by myself, and you give me that time to at least get pants on, get shoes on, and then once I get to getting my jacket, I'm already getting into my nothing box.
yes.
You come in, we kind of pre-brief on what's to be expected and what we're gonna do, and no matter what has happened prior to my day, there none of that matters.
Exactly.
Nothing that I'm going to be doing later on matters.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that matters is that particular dog.
Yes.
And then there's been times where we've gone out and it hasn't gone so well. So I take that session, that box, and I say, okay, we'll debrief and process that one later. The next dog coming out, I need to get a new nothing box and focus on that one and not apply any of my previous emotions, applications, or anything else to the current dog that's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, from what I was taking out of what you were saying, every dog is different. Every session is different.
Mm-hmm.
So when you work 20, 30 dogs, you have a lot of nothing boxes that come in.
Yes.
And you put the session boxes off to the side, review them later, but every session starts with a new nothing box.
Yes, very important, very important. So I see this with people that have multiple dogs, and their first dog did great, their second one not so, and their third one was absolutely awful, and all that negative emotion, that frustration goes into the fourth session. I see that happening a lot with people with multiple dogs, even with two dogs. They take their first dog out and it didn't go well, and then they take their second dog out, and now the handler doesn't do well because he was frustrated. He was frustrated with the first dog. So it's important to think about that nothing box concept, and rewatch the first 20 minutes of this of today's episode over and over if you really need to, and grasp the concept again of the nothing box. So I see we got some questions coming in. Ken, thank you. It's a great concept, my nothing box. Apply it. Mary said, I've actually found the video work we have to do now great for making me sit down and do nothing. Yes, after training, because I have to review the video instead of just finishing having pets and then moving on to the next thing. The little intros we do also make me think about my session before I set up the camera. So indeed, that is the whole idea of my concept that I just explained. And like I said, if playing music works, if talking to a video camera works and helps prepare your mind to focus on nothing but the session and leave work and alarm clocks and friends and spouses and everything on the side, then that is a great thing to do. And I'm glad, Mary, you're getting that help of these tools, because it's going to make you, and it's making you, a better handler towards Tiny and Lean, and your dogs are going to be thankful that you keep doing this. Even after COVID-19, keep implementing these video concepts, because it's going to that nothing box, that place of contemplation, is way more important with animals than it is with almost anything else you will do in your life. Oh, Talia, you're welcome. It's a good reminder. I need to remind myself quite often that it's time for me to declutter my brain. and kind of get my thoughts organized, so I can focus on the very important things that I need to do. For instance, I am on social media. I have maxed out my friends and I have followers and stuff. And in the beginning, I was very worried about answering everybody's private message or comment. And I do get a couple thousand messages sometimes a week. And I would get really stressed about it. Like I would do that before my training day. I would wake up early and then get my dogs done, train my dogs, and then before my clients came, I needed to make sure that I go through as much messages that I could, and then after my day, still a couple of messages before dinner, and then after dinner, and my life was controlled by it, and my brain got really cluttered by all this basically nonsense that people have to say. And so by pushing this aside and not finding that important, actually Talia called me over 27 times before I answered the phone, and then eventually she would show up at my field, because that was the only way that she then could make an appointment, by actually already being there. So that is a true story. But so now, and that is not being disrespectful to my clients, but I don't answer every thousands of messages that I get, because basically being with the dogs and stuff and doing more important things is important, and eventually I'll get to answering stuff. It's the same with the phone calls. My cell phone is not in my pocket on the field when I train with dogs, and in beginning, new clients, new prospect clients get really mad if they try to call me 14, 15 times before I answer the phone. I say, oh, what kind of business service is this? I said, a great one, because when I'm busy with your dogs, I won't answer the phone either. So, but it took me a while to actually do that, and it's a good example of trying to stay decluttered during your day, and then implementing those 2-3 moments a day of going into your nothing box, and they only need to last maybe sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes 30 minutes, and anything in between. But do take that time, and I promise you, your training and your life with your dog will get better. Judith says her brain is a nothing box. Haha. I don't think so. I think you think of a lot of things, great stuff.
Well, you've taken your dogs out on the field to get into your nothing box.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's a good comment. My dogs right now sometimes push me into my nothing box, especially when I'm out with my old girl or my good guy, little guy, even Riker, or my pups. Even I can just walk and be there in my nothing box. And the reason why I can do this is my dogs enjoying my nothing box, and they like that energy. I've given demos here that I can walk 6 dogs loose on the field, and they just circle around me while I'm walking on the field, and it's because I'm able and I'll be present in my nothing box. So I think a great topic for today. I got a couple more minutes, so if there's any questions, hit them below. If not, we're about to finish here.
Oh, real quick, Corey, saw that you were watching. This one is for you. Finding and creating your Corey nothing box. Your brain works at light speed because you have so much going on. Find your nothing box and then apply that. Even if it's just Corey time, apply that. It's invaluable.
Well, good guys. Thanks for being here. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up, give me a love. Leave me any questions or comments below. I will see you tomorrow for the Bark Talks with Bart, and all homework review. So if you haven't done it, upload your homework. I'll review all the homework tomorrow. Until then, you keep training.